All right, guys, so we had a lot of questions on 35. I just wanted to go over it quickly. So in this problem, we had a company that we could give an input of advertising dollars and get an output of revenue dollars, right? And so in this video, I'm just going to say dollars rather than thousands of dollars. But if you anytime you see dollars in my video and you replace it with thousands of dollars, that'll be your actual answer. All right, so the way I want us to think about this is let's actually try to visualize the graph. Sometimes that helps us if we slow things down a little bit. So we have inputs of my advertising budget here, and I have outputs of my revenue here. So maybe if I had an advertising budget of $0, my revenue would be something like that much, right? So part A asks me, do I want f prime to be positive or negative? So remember, f prime is telling me something about the slope. It's telling me the slope, right? So if the slope of my entire graph is positive, maybe it looks something like this, right? It goes up and up and up. But if my derivative is negative, if the slope is negative, it's going to look something like that. Right? Now, so which would the company rather have, and specifically which would the marketing department rather have? Well, they'd rather have this blue line, right? They can increase their revenue if they want to by spending money on advertising. So they would rather have f prime is greater than 0. Now, B asks us about the tricky one. So they ask us about f prime of 100 being 2. Now, what does that mean? All right, so let's erase the lines I have here and kind of just get some intuition for it again on this graph, right? So it's telling me at an input of 100 advertising dollars, my slope of my graph is 2, right? So it's going up like that, right? So it's sloping up like this, right? And so we're going to have to actually write down what this statement means in words. We can see it on the graph now, right? That at 100, my graph has a slope of 2. We don't really know what's happening out here. Maybe it's something like that, and maybe this is something like that, but we don't really know, right? So we need to interpret what this means. So what does this 100 mean? Well, that's 100 advertising dollars, right? And this 2 is talking about the slope. So what are the units of the slope? I'm going to write down the Leibniz notation, just to help me remember that. So this is 2, and it's dollars of revenue, all right, on top. So the 2 is $2 of dollars of revenue per dollars of advertising. All right, so that per is kind of the key there. So it's the unit on the top, the thing on the top, per the thing on the bottom. Right? So now let's put the whole statement together and kind of figure out what it means. All right. So there's going to be kind of 3 parts to every statement about a derivative thing like this, right? So the first thing is just going to be, what is your input? And so you'll say my input, so you'll say at an advertising budget of $100. So at my certain input. So at an advertising budget of $100. So that's my first component to the statement. You can kind of break every single statement up about a fact like this into 3 parts. Then you'll just say it's my output, right? So our output here is my revenue, or their revenue. And now we want to say what it's doing. And this 2 tells us what the revenue is doing, right? It tells us my revenue is increasing by $2 per dollar of advertising, right? And this is the part 3, right? And this is great for the company, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, because they can put $1 in. If they've spent $100, they can put $1 in and get $2 out, right? Basically, I say I spend another $1 on this like cereal box advertisement, and then $2 more come in, right? Some people come in and buy cars, right? That's a good thing. I should still be putting money into advertising at this point, right? Because I'm getting more money out than I put in. Now, what if they tell me something like, and I'm kind of skipping ahead to part C now, right? So what if they tell me something like f prime of 100 is equal to 0.5? All right, so we would do the same type of statement above. So at an advertising budget of $100, my revenue, it's still increasing, so that's not bad, right? But it's increasing by half a dollar per dollar of advertising. So that means I put a dollar down for advertising, and I only get half a dollar out. Right? It's kind of going back to that profit equals revenue minus cost thing, but you don't need to actually worry about that. But just kind of keep in mind that it means the slope here, that f prime of 100 equals 0.5, it would mean the slope here is a lot less. It's kind of going up like that now, right? And so what they want you to notice for C is just what I've just been saying, right? So that when I spend $100, if f prime of 100 is 2, I should be putting more money in, right? Because I get twice that money out, right? I put a dollar in, I get 2. If f prime of 100 is 0.5, then I can rewrite this fact and see, well, if I put a dollar in, I'm only getting 50 cents back, right? So that means I should stop. And specifically, I should be putting in less. I shouldn't have gone as far.